Major crimes continue to decline in Jamaica quarter over quarter, with the headline grabber murders especially eye-catching, with the JCF reporting a 36% fall in homicides over the first 4 or so months of the new year. What accounts for this trajectory that the JCF has been on for the past few months, and is it sustainable? Those are the issues I'll encounter today with my guests on Lead Story here on CVM TV. Let's start the show. Right, so the JCF again telling the Jamaican public that murders continue to decline, along with other categories of major crime, except break-ins, which trended up over the review quarter, or the review period rather. And all in all, it is a sequence of declines that the JCF has been ready to report, proud of that fact, without crowing, and is asking the public for their continued support as they keep the downward trajectory going. So what are the numbers behind the numbers? We have that answer for you.
Jamaica continues to record a drop in its murder rate. According to recent statistics from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, Jamaica has reported a significant 36% decrease in murders between January 1 to April 5 when compared to the same period in 2024. This drop marks a notable achievement in the government's ongoing efforts to combat violent crime and improve public safety. The reduction in murder rates has been welcomed by some residents, officials, and law enforcement alike. Experts believe that the decline is a result of the strategic implementation of several crime-fighting initiatives, including increased police presence, targeted anti-gang operations, and more effective community policing practices. In his weekly address last Friday, Commissioner of Police Dr. Kevin Blake highlighted that the first quarter of 2025 recorded the lowest number of murders in over 20 years, along with the most significant decline in major crime since 2001. However, some critics have questioned the crime-fighting strategy of the police, citing that almost 90 people have been killed by law enforcement since the start of the year. While the 36% decrease is seen as a step in the right direction, experts warn that there is still much work to be done to ensure lasting change. The question now is how to build on this progress and sustain a long-term reduction in crime. We discuss on Lead Story. Courtney Lewis for Lead Story.
Thank you very much, Courtney. Two eminently placed gentlemen are lying in wait to engage me in this discussion, which we'll have after this break.
Challenges are everywhere and things are constantly changing, but independent living remains the same. Rising above physical challenges, we can help you do it. For years, we have been Jamaica's trusted provider for solutions to improve patient care, safety, and general quality of life. No matter your age or your physical limitation, we are the caring store, waiting to serve you. It's time to experience independent living. Visit us today.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. We've got everything, stocking top brands like CNCs, Philips, and Allen Bradley. We guarantee quality and reliability. Shop with us and save with even free island-wide delivery. Conditions apply. Visit us at Shop 8 Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in electrical business.
Back with us on Lead Story. Immediately to my guests, I have the pleasure of speaking this evening with Dr. Jason Mackay. He's a criminologist and a security expert, and also attorney at law Michael Williams. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Dr. Mackay, are we to allow ourselves to believe that the things the JCF is doing can cause this downward trajectory where major crimes are concerned to be maintained?
Very much so, certainly. It's a direct result of police action. It's not happening by chance.
And when you say direct police action, what is it? What are those things that you've seen as being deliberate and intentional to have created these results up to this point?
Well, there's been a massive amount of targeted operations directed towards gangs in particular, which is the driving force behind the murder rate. So there's constant operations. So you reach to a point where the gangs become weary almost, where they're dislocated, they're constantly on the run. And then so they're unable to really commit murder at the rate where they did before, because they lose control, they lose comfort zones. They have to leave their community and so on, you know?
There is some commentary in the political space, and of course I don't want to drag you into politics because you're not that man, but some of our politicians have said, look, the police are getting these results because finally the targeted policing of the kind you speak of is what is being employed rather than the ZOSO and the states of public emergency approach that was adopted before. And while some people say, well, it was the use of these states of public emergency then which paved the way for the use of the targeted operations now to yield the results, and it's not a case of one approach being better than the other. Where do you stand on that?
I mean, there are places for both approaches. Occupation can play its part, and ZOSA has certainly assisted in the places where it was employed. But I mean, but then as you employ it in one zone, you see problems crop up in another, which is why you perhaps need the same rules that govern ZOSA being applied nationally rather than parochially. But ZOSA has played its part to reduce the homicides in areas, particularly St. James. I mean, St. James' recovery is phenomenal. I mean, it's almost gone back to the pre-scamming days. It is really because the big thrust there that started that was ZOSO and parochial states of emergencies. But police strategies are not singular. You know, it's multifaceted. So you have the ZOSOs, the parochial states of emergency. You have the surgical strikes against the gangs. Don't underestimate these new laws that have come out with that new gun bill. Most of the guys normally would go and pay a fine, and a lot of them would be right out, or they spend a year and they come out again. No, everybody who's charged for a gun, it's a one-way street to hell. You don't see them for years upon years, and you're not seeing them around. So those missing personalities have a lot to do with it. Then you have major crime figures that are behind bars, or no longer with us. So all of this, there's less persons involved in the fight, and those who are left, who are not in prison or otherwise, they're running scared because there's such a massive thrust against them.
Yeah. On the point of those who are no longer with us, Michael Williams, I want to come to you now, counsel, because some people are saying, given the high number of police fatal shootings, there is not really much to celebrate with what the police are doing now, because the approach is seeing potentially innocent Jamaican men being killed in the name of crime fighting, when the police use that nebulous descriptor to say a confrontation with the police resulted in X man losing his life. How do you see it?
I'm glad you brought me in at this point, because I am not buying the 36% reduction in crime for a number of reasons. There's no transparency in how the Jamaica Constabulary collects its statistics. It's not transparent. There's a lot of misclassification of murders. There are a lot of things that are recorded as unnatural deaths. We are in an election year. We must not ignore the possibility of political and institutional biases in an election year. So while I'm not a criminologist like Dr. Jason, I am quite skeptical about this massive 36% reduction in crime. And
hold it right there, Counsel. Hold it right there, Counsel.
I draw a line.
Counsel, hold on, man. Hold on. You're a man of learning, and so
yes.
I don't expect that you will just pull opinions from the air. That's not in your training. So therefore,
no.
If you use the S word and say skepticism, I want you to ground that skepticism with which you speak when you say that you are unconvinced by that 36% reduction in murders that the police are talking about.
Well, consistently, Jamaicans to justice statistics on crime are higher than that of the JCF. There's significant underreporting of deaths. There's misclassification. These are all issues that have been raised before. So I'm not like you singing from the same hymnal.
Well, I wasn't singing, but I would say to you that that JFJ, under the leadership of Michael Jackson and the chairmanship of John Clark, I have not heard JFJ say that the numbers reported by Dr. Kevin Blake periodically, whether through the force orders or just the publication of the periodic crime statistics by the police, I've not heard that duo say that the numbers are dodgy. So I'd like again to interrogate the basis on which you're coming from.
I am not saying that at this time, in this juncture, at this time, that there's been any commentary. What I'm saying is that there has been consistent critique of how the Jamaica Constabulary collects statistics, not just by the UN, by the World Health Organization, and by other civil society groups like JFJ. But the fact of the matter is, let me finish.
Of course.
Homicides must be properly classified for us to draw the conclusion or even the inference that murders are down. And I need to speak to stuff like unconstitutional use of states of zozos. These courts have determined that these methods that Dr. Jason is championing are unconstitutional and interfere with the liberties of Jamaica. And
hold it there, Counsel. I must stop you. Counsel, hold on.
Yes.
I want clarity in the conversation. First of all, you say,
but you must allow me.
But of course, you say that the statistics have been subject to critique in the past. I don't need to remind you. You know this very well. Hold on. I don't need to remind you. There's a huge difference between the term critique and criticism. There's nothing wrong with critique. Well, there is something wrong with criticism. You've not said that the numbers have been criticized. You've said that the numbers have been critiqued. That's one thing. And then you go to the issue of unconstitutionality of the approach of the police and rights and everything being abrogated. And I'm saying to you, Counsel, you can't cook pepper pot soup by putting peanut butter and jelly in it. It doesn't work like that. So I don't want you to conflate those issues. I want you to talk about Counsel. I want you to talk about
Counsel to reduce crime. Counsel, we're going to continue to use them to reduce crime. Mr. Williams, say something about that.
Mr. Williams, as my guest, I'm giving you the chance to respond to me. I'm treating you with respect. You're a gentleman and a scholar. I'm giving you time. You must allow for me to raise the natural objection and seek clarification when you raise points that are contentious. So I've given you 2 points, and now I'm turning the floor over to you to respond to the 2 of them.
Number one, I don't want to get into an English debate with you, but critique of anything suggests that there are criticisms being leveled.
No, sir. No, I must push back. Critique and criticism are not the same thing,
Counsel.
Counsel.
Can I finish?
Critique and criticism are not the same thing.
Let us agree to disagree.
No, we can't. Listen, we can't agree to disagree that night and they are the same thing. That's what you're asking me to do by saying critique and criticism.
Critique
Yes.
Critique.
It's different from criticism. You know this.
Words must be given their ordinary meaning, sir.
Absolutely so. Absolutely so.
And let me tell you what Google says critique means.
Yes, please do.
Because we will be here all night.
No. Please define them. Please define them for me.
I am craving your indulgence.
Yes, sir.
Critique.
Yes. Yes.
Critique means
Yes. Counsel, let me take the break. Find the definitions. Let me take the break and come back to you. Find the definitions, line them up. I'm going to come right back to you. This is Lead Story here on CVM TV.
Join my private room. Only $1,000 for a grand time.
That I know me. We never said that. But who going believe me?
That is correct. $4,350,000. Yes, go ahead. $4 million? I never approved that.
Yes, me I go doctor tomorrow. So me have to get the money today, no longer. Then no me face that. We never make no record or beg nobody no money.
Deepfakes are AI-generated images and videos made to look and sound like people we know and trust. They're used to spread misinformation, destroy reputations, and are used to commit fraud and scams. Don't fall victim to deepfakes. Protect yourself. For more information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or scan the QR code on screen.
Need affordable and stylish men's clothing that doesn't break the bank? Then look no further than 876 South, the ultimate source for men's fashion. From original Clarks, name brand watches and sleek accessories, we've got something for every man, every style and every budget. Don't just dress, make a statement. Visit 876 South at Shop 58 Sovereign Center, Caledonia Road, Mandeville, or call us at 876-319-1375. 876 South, classy, stylish, unique.
Welcome back to Lead Story. I hope you're all hooked on Lead Story, not hooked on phonics. I'm here with Michael Williams, attorney at law, and of course, criminologist Dr. Jason Mackay. He's also a security expert. And Dr. Mackay, are you still associated with the Atlas Protection, sir?
What? Are you talking to me?
Yes, I was asking if you're still associated with the Atlas Protection.
No, I'm with Mackay Security, man.
There you go. Mackay Security, yeah. Of course, I'm making the Cayman as sparkling. Anyway, Michael Williams, counsel, you were saying to me, sir.
Merriam-Webster defines critique as a critical estimate of discussion or an act of criticizing. You want to hear Oxford?
I want you to define criticism now. I want you to define criticism now. You've defined critique.
I don't want us to get lost in a subset.
Counsel.
Critique means that you're offering criticism,
counsel,
analysis, and the rest of it.
Let's agree on this. I want you to deal with the substantial point. I want you to take it out of the realm of critique and criticism, which we are agreeing is not the same thing. But that's not the big point that you want to make.
I'm not agreeing with you. It's not the same.
No, well, guess what? The fact that you don't agree with me that night is night and day is day does not make them not night and day respectively.
No, because you don't agree that critique means.
But they're not the same thing, counsel. They're not the same thing.
Anyway,
let's not bury the discussion in that rabbit hole. I'm trying to lift it out of it, you know. So if you want to go back there, I can, but I want to move from there.
You are the one who is taking it into the rabbit hole.
No, man, they're not.
Move on.
Yeah, they're not the same thing. So let's move on. They're not the same thing. Let's move on. So you are saying that that the numbers themselves don't convince you because of underlying issues you have with how the police adjudicate over using force where the rights of Jamaicans is concerned. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Please.
Don't misconstrue what I'm saying.
No, misconstrue. No, come on now, counsel. Stay on the steady path now. Go ahead. Yes.
Is that the way the JCF collects statistics
Yes.
is not transparent. Number two,
And why is it not transparent? Before you move on, why is it not transparent?
It is not transparent because only the JCF reports those data.
Okay.
Only the JCF knows their methodology of collection.
Okay. All right.
Unlike in some other countries where they have national statistic boards that actively track, we don't have that. And Jamaica is not alone.
We have a police civilian oversight authority who examines the processes that guide how the police does its work. So whereas Indicom...
When last have you read one of those reports, Mr. Host?
I hosted the annual lecture of the Police Civilian Oversight Authority last Wednesday. Well, yeah, last Wednesday, yes, at the Pegasus Hotel. And I happened to read a few of those reports in preparation for that hosting gig. So I know that they do. So that's one thing. And so I'm saying Indicom on one hand, the PCOA on the other hand. But you're saying that notwithstanding that, you still have serious issue with the fact that it's not, the methodology isn't open for the public to examine, is what you're saying.
It's not transparent.
Okay.
And I know, as somebody who practices law,
yes, sir,
that there are lots of homicides that go unreported.
Yes.
For one reason or another.
All right. I hear you on that.
Number one.
Yeah.
Number two.
Yes.
I also know that sometimes, let me give you one example. I'm a wanted man, maybe shot and killed by the police in what the police describe as a confrontation.
Yes.
And the man was wanted for 3 murders.
Yes.
And the police list those 3 murders with the death of that person as being cleared up. Remember that nobody went to court to answer to 3 charges of murder for those 3 murders, but they listed as a clear-up.
That's a solid point. That's a solid point, and I'll take that point from you because that's an issue that some people have. But I don't want you to color the issue because we're talking about homicide numbers, not clear-up rate, which would fit perfectly in line with the point you just made. We'll hold it right there. Dr. Mackay, have you had cause over time, sir, to examine these numbers from the Jamaica Constabulary Force and doubt or have any reservations, inhibitions, or any other appropriate adjective or synonym about the veracity of these numbers, sir?
Absolutely not, man. The numbers are perfect. I mean, if you're going to look into wrongful death or undecided death, how much could that statistically impact if there's 1 or 2 persons which they haven't ruled on? One or two. Couldn't be
oh, please. Don't placate
Mr. Williams, Dr. Mackay has the floor, so he never interfered with you. Please allow him space to respond. Continue, Dr. Mackay.
The people will always say things, if I understand. The persons who deny the Holocaust took place, the persons who think Elvis is still alive. I really don't waste too much time engaging in that type of rhetoric because it's not useful. But
on the sustainability point, Dr. Mackay, on the sustainability point, you said at the top that, look, you have no doubt that the continued track that they're on can be maintained. But here's the thing, though, I wonder, is it that perhaps the gangs and the criminals who for so long wreaked such havoc as to institutionalize themselves, in your experience, in your wisdom, are they taking a deep breath? Are they filling their lungs to go again? Is there a response from them that the police will then have to respond to that would cause this trend to break and for numbers to go up again? Does it work like that?
Every great evil empire has its day where they become war weary. It has happened with the Nazi party in Germany after World War II. And you realize that after the end of World War II, there was no great insurrection afterwards or continued fighting. You have certain terrorist organizations that were running amok years ago. When's the last time you've heard about Al-Qaeda? So when there is a sustained beating of a criminal organization or a terrorist organization, you find eventually you will find this type of reduction to take place. And what has been happening is, what started off with ZOSOs and
States of Public Emergency, SOE.
Yeah, morphed into
targeted approaches. Yes,
morphed into a policy of surgical attacks against the gangs, continuous. I mean, operations 3 times the amount that have ever been held are being held now. So you're reaping what you're sowing in respect of the reduction. So of course, if you change the strategy and they get a chance to inhale, then yes, someday they could come back. But then you would have to have a reason to change the strategy if it wasn't working. But if it's working, I see no reason why they should change the strategy.
And lastly for you, Dr. Mackay, do you get a sense that the confidence that the citizenry has in the police has resulted in improved citizenry-police relations where information sharing is now better than it perhaps has been for decades?
I think there's some of that, and I think that Jamaica is fed up of gangs. There was a time when they were romanticized, politicians embraced them, human rights activists built careers off of them. But I think Jamaica on a whole, there's a national swing against the gangs. So even people who pay extortion and didn't mind because of the cheap security, they don't want to do it anymore. So you find that there's generally that pushback from society because they're fed up of them.
Yeah.
They're damaged us incredibly over the last 40, 50 years. And I think it has just reached a point where Jamaica is tired of them.
Yeah.
And it just happened that the leader of the force was able to motivate the members to work 3 times harder than they ever did. He developed a strategy, and it has been employed, and it's working. So it's all a matter of, the blocks we're building all along. And there's always been a strategy: occupy, hold, reduce, use various laws, the development of laws to anti-gang legislation, the gun bill, and so on, to start to imprison more than and get rid of this revolving door that they had. And then also create a national psyche that persons start to look at, before I join a gang, do I really want to do 10 to 15 years in prison?
Yeah.
Do I want to do 20 years for being a member of a gang? Right. So little by little, you find that the more of them that are moved off the road, the harder it is to replace them.
Yeah.
So if you continue pushing the same message, you'll get the same results.
Hear you on that. Michael Williams, the last 30 seconds are yours. Your problem is transparency. What are you calling on Dr. Blake as commissioner to do to convince you that what is reported on are actually real numbers and not the product of anomalies or things that are eliminated?
I am not singing from the same hymnal as Dr. Jason. And what I want police credibility issues to improve. There is historical corruption, extrajudicial killings, and many citizens still don't trust the police to give them information for crime fighting. Number 2, I would urge Dr. Blake to continue to observe the rulings of the court that zones of special operations are unconstitutional. There are enough measures for cordoning and searching in the Jamaica Constabulary.
Out of time. We're out of time. We heard you, hear you loud and clear. It was important to give you that little bit at the end. Thank you, Michael Williams. Thank you, Dr. Jason Mackay. Nika Lewis is standing by with the news at 7.
International. I'm coming from running in a national stadium.